Everyone wants to be stronger, not just physically, but in every part of life. But between confusing workout advice, complicated equipment, and trying to figure out nutrition, where does anyone even start? Well, to get stronger mentally and physically, go to Anytime Fitness. You'll get a personalized training, nutrition, and recovery plan, all customized to your body, your strength level, and your goals. You'll get expert coaching to optimize your results, anytime, anywhere, in the gym and on the Anytime Fitness app. And you'll get anytime access to 5,500 gyms worldwide, all with the right equipment to level up your strength gains and your life. So get started at AnytimeFitness.com. That's AnytimeFitness.com.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Hour 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Half the work week officially in the rear view mirror. We're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Working towards the weekend. Thanks for hanging out with us. JD Pickell, host of the Hard Count on 3 Sports in 15 minutes. SEC Football Power Rankings, latest edition coming up at the bottom of the hour. Let's see. Had 3 teams that moved 3 spots. 1 team that moved 4 spots. How many stagnant? 1, 2, 3. Only 4 of the 16 teams remain stagnant after the weekend of work. So, lots of movement coming up in 30 minutes on our SEC Football Power Rankings. All right, time to face a little bit of music. Not full music, just a little bit of music here at the top of the hour. I decided, and keep in mind, I didn't even remember what was in this piece. But I did know that I put a piece together in August that was a prediction piece for 2025 season. It was written on August 14th. I published it right at noon and called it 3 bold predictions for LSU in 2025. We're about halfway done. You're 6 games in to a 12-game season, so you play a bowl game, which counts. So it would technically be 13, maybe if you play an SEC championship game. But you're halfway for all intents and purposes, right? So we ought to be able to get a pretty good snapshot of how those predictions went. Let's move forward and see how things are going. My first bold prediction for LSU in 2025 is that LSU will go unbeaten at home. Right now, they're unbeaten at home. You've got to win over Louisiana Tech. You got to win over Florida. You beat Southeastern. You beat South Carolina. And what's left? You've got a game against Texas A&M in 2 weeks. It's going to be very, very difficult to win. You've got a game with Arkansas, who's fired their coach, but is a good offensive team. And then you've got a game against, am I missing one? Arkansas? Oh, and then Western Kentucky, which doesn't count because you're going to win that. So essentially, A&M and Arkansas are the 2 you've got to win to get to the finish line unbeaten at home. I think their chances are decent. They're probably right about 50-50, maybe a tick short of 50-50 to go undefeated at home. But I wrote about this in the piece, and it says, look, you've got to take on a team in Florida that's going to come in 2-0. That was incorrect. They were 1-1. They lost to South Florida. But then you've got to face 2 quarterbacks that ran all over Blake Baker's defense last year, Lenora Sellers and Marcel Reed. You contained Lenora Sellers. You'll get your shot at Marcel Reed. And then you got to beat Arkansas. So I feel at this point pretty good about this. I've talked about this a lot. This is a quote that I've continued to beat home. I trust that defense in that stadium. It's going to be very difficult for somebody to come in and consistently make plays against that defense in that stadium. So I feel okay about that. Is it a slam dunk? No. But they've gotten there this far, so we'll see how that goes. Here's my next one. Chris Hilton will top 1,000 yards. Well, let's go ahead and look at how that's going at this point. Chris Hilton has 4 catches for 30 yards this year. He is on pace for 8 catches for 60 yards. That's going to come up just a tick short. Do I feel bad about this prediction? A little bit. But I've watched Chris Hilton for 2 fall camps really play well. I'm not making this up. I'm not the only one who's had this take. And it's not just he's hitting the deep ball in practice. He's working the intermediate stuff. They got him involved in screen game. I thought he would catch some deep balls, and I thought he would be a big piece to the passing attack. Now, why has he not been? I think that there are probably some layers to that. Certainly, Chris Hilton's best attribute as a wide receiver in this offense in his time in Baton Rouge has been the deep ball. And LSU hasn't thrown the deep ball because Garrett Nussmeier hasn't been able to throw the deep ball. Like, Hilton cooked the defense against Ole Miss. Nussmeier underthrew it. Hilton cooked the defense on Saturday against South Carolina. Nussmeier slightly underthrew it, and then he dropped it. Like, that was 115, 120 yards of catch and run right there that you just got none of. None. And at this point, you got to realize that any sort of thought that Chris Hilton's going to be a go-to all-SEC type receiver is gone. That does not mean he can't make 2 touchdown catches over 50 yards on Saturday, because he did it against Baylor in January. I guess that was December, January, whatever it was, right around December, January. I think it was New Year's Eve. He did it against Baylor. He had a long, big catch against Oklahoma last year. Like, he's still capable, but he's not going for 1,000 yards. So that bold prediction, not getting home. Last one. LSU will go over 45 sacks on the season. Keep in mind, LSU last year finished with 34 sacks. I thought Braden Swinson did a good job last year. I thought that you were going to be better this year on the edge. You had Patrick Payton, Jamari Butler, Jack Pyburn coming in. Payton, a proven pass rusher on the edge. You had a full year of Harold Perkins being healthy. Whit Weeks back healthy, who's been a good pass rusher. Maybe you get a little juice from the interior with Bernard Gooden, who got some sacks for South Florida last year. Plus, I thought that LSU was going to win a lot of games, and that lends itself to pass rushing late when you have a lead. So I thought they would top 45 sacks. Right now, LSU ranks 24th in the country in sacks with 16. That pace is about 35 sacks. So they're right kind of where they were. It hasn't been really disappointing from a pass rush perspective, but to get over 45 sacks, you're going to be in the top 10 in the country, and LSU right now is 24th. So I'm hopeful that more is unlocked over the back half of the season. I think that they can get after the passer a little bit better. You've played some elusive quarterbacks. Klubnik moves around pretty well. You didn't rack up big sack totals against Southeastern and Louisiana Tech, where you feel like opportunities against lesser teams to go back there and get them. The way that LSU is going to get to this number is to have that 6 or 7 sack game. That happens. I mean, look, last year, in the most unlikely of circumstances, Florida did that to LSU in a great offensive line in the swamp. LSU got behind. They tried to throw the ball. Florida's crowd got going. LSU struggled to deal with it, and you got back there and got a lot of sacks. And maybe that happens on Saturday against Vanderbilt. Maybe they get a huge sack total against Western Kentucky. Maybe Taylon Green in Arkansas get well behind, and they got to throw it a lot, and he doesn't have anywhere to go because your coverage is really good, and you get him down 6 or 7 times. But it feels like it's unlikely that LSU is going to climb to the number that I had laid out. I thought that was laid out with reasonable expectation, and LSU has not been a bad team in terms of sacks. Let me see where LSU ranks in the conference. I said 24th in the country, but LSU in the SEC is tied for 6th in sacks. So that's not awful. There are only 5 teams better than LSU when it comes to sacks. Auburn's got 2 more. So does Vanderbilt. Texas A&M has 5 more. Oklahoma's got 6 more, and then Tennessee has 10 more. Tennessee leads the country in sacks. They're getting back there for 4 a game. Are the Vols. So there's a chance that LSU's pass rush turns up a little bit more. I thought they'd be in better shape right now. You look at individually what LSU has done from a sacks perspective. Harold Perkins has 2. And Damian Shanklin had 2. I had to double take that. Damian Shanklin had 2 in 1 game when he was in mop-up duty there. But nobody else has been super impactful from a sacks perspective. Bernard Gooden's got 1.5. Jack Pyburn's got 1.5. Woodland and Pickett each have one. Don McKinley's got one. Dylan Carpenter's got one. But some of the guys you really thought you were going to count on, Patrick Payton only has one sack on the season thus far. Jamari Butler does not have a sack thus far. So that hasn't been to the level I thought it would elevate to. Not a disaster, but not quite right. So for me, are they going to go undefeated at home? They could. They're on track to do that, and they got a decent chance. Got to win 2 more SEC games at home to get there. Is Chris Hilton going to get 1,000 yards? At this pace, he's not even going to get 100 yards. I think he will. I think there's a chance he's going to make some big plays down the stretch, but that was just a whiff on Chris. We also did a station survey back in August of who's going to lead LSU in receiving yards, and I put Chris Hilton, and that's just going to be flatly wrong. But is LSU going to get to that 45 sack total? Probably not, but I'll hold out hope. Maybe there's a big day or two coming down the pike for Blake Baker's defense. We shall see. But that's me trying to take accountability for my preseason bold predictions here on this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. So appreciate you all for hanging out with us. SEC Football Power Rankings coming your way in about 15, 18 minutes. When we come back, JD Pickell, host of the Hard Count on 3 Sports, talking national college football storylines on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge, swingeasygcbr.com. You're looking for a place to watch some games on the weekend. Swing Easy Golf Club is a great place to do it. You walk into their facility right there, Segan at Perkins. You see right there to the left, there's all the chairs set up. They got the fridge back there, all your seltzers, all your beers, all your wine. They're available for purchase. And then you go into your personalized bay. And it's got couches, chairs, tables. Of course, you got your golf simulator. Hit some golf shots. You want to practice, you can do that. You want to turn up the simulator to a little famous course they play every April, you can do that. You want to go out to Pebble Beach, you can do that as well. You want to play Bethpage Black, TPC Sawgrass, they got it. Turn the TV on. Any channel you like, any game you like, have some friends, hang out, spend some time in that private bay. It is an awesome, comfortable, dare I say, luxurious space that you can mix in hitting some golf shots in while you're there. It's Swing Easy Golf Club here in Baton Rouge. Segan at Perkins. You can find them online, including booking tee times at swingeasygcbr.com. Swing Easy Golf Club, swingeasygcbr.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Chugging right along here, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. SEC Football Power Rankings coming up in 15 minutes. Got a new team at the top spot. We'll talk about it coming up in our next segment. Right now, let's talk to our guy, JD Pickell, host of the Hard Count on 3 Sports. Wherever you find your podcast, you can find him all year long, but we're in the middle of the season now, so let's talk to our guy on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. JD, how we doing?
Well, the best part of my week. This, and then when I wake up on Saturday morning, I go through the Chick-fil-A drive-through before the college football playoff games start, or for college football games. I guess eventually playoff games at some point here start.
Yep.
It's a beautiful time, man. Glad to be talking to you right now.
Seems like Indiana's going to be in those playoff games whenever they roll around. What'd you see on Saturday?
I think this is important to say about Indiana. Like, they're actually good. You know, like, we see the logo and we say, oh, I love Hoosiers. I love that. That's an awesome movie. We think about the candy cane pants and basketball. Like, what they did to Oregon was legitimately winning matchup football. It wasn't smoke and mirrors. It wasn't tricky scheme. It was, we're going to throw the ball to Surratt and he's going to go catch it, one-on-one coverage. We're going to run more yards than you. We're going to harass your quarterback. I mean, it was bullyish, quite frankly, which is what we saw Oregon do to Penn State, in my opinion. So it needs to be said, like, Indiana's not tricky or good for a team that hasn't been good in a while, outside of last year. Like, they're just a good football team with good players, and they're going to be in the playoff, like you just said.
What do we make of what Auburn has done in the last month? They're in games. They just lose them all. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's a perplexing question that I think a lot of people in Auburn, Alabama are asking themselves right now. It feels this way to me, and I'd be curious to get your take on this as well, because I think if you're an Auburn fan, you'll take any answer you can get at this point. I think they once again swung and missed on a portal quarterback, and I think Jackson Arnold is talented. I think he is not what they need to maximize what their offense is supposed to be. Their offense is supposed to be run the football. Then we have these Ferraris on the perimeter. Let's get them the rock. And then at that point in time, there's no way to defend us because light boxes are going to work because, again, we'll punch you in the face. And then you can't, commit extra numbers to the run game because Cam Coleman's so good. And it's easy to say, quarterback's not good enough when you're losing games that maybe, you think you have a chance to win, i.e. the Georgia game in the first half. But it really does feel to me like, how much better would they be with a Bo Pribula back there? How much better would they be? I mean, heck, Drew Aller, I know he just got hurt against Northwestern. He had a bad year, but, how much better could they be if they had him throwing the ball downfield? I like them a lot more with a quarterback that can actually throw the ball downfield, and Jackson Arnold has not proven to be able to do that at an effective enough level, which I hate for him, but that's kind of the place they're in right now.
This may be a really stupid thing to say because it's just a different era of college football, but, I watched Hugh Freeze play football with Jeremiah Masoli and Bo Wallace in Oxford and win a lot of games with guys that weren't great quarterbacks. So maybe it's a different era, and that's just a stupid thing to say out loud. But I don't sense that Hugh Freeze needs Cam Newton to score points, and maybe he does because they're not scoring any points.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. I think that whole era comparison is a really interesting take, especially with how good Masoli was running the football, but then you also juxtapose the idea that defenses have gotten faster and changed up their 3-3-5 structure. And so all that is interesting. But at the end of the day, I think there is something to be said for having a killer instinct, which Auburn just purely doesn't have. And I know that it's popular right now to blame the officiating, and it's popular to blame the breaks they haven't gotten against Oklahoma and Georgia, but the point remains the same. The competitive plays, the competitive moments, the other teams are winning, and the plays that Auburn needs to make, they're just not making them, which I know is the most no-dub, black and white statement of all time. But when you do it enough times in a row, you shouldn't be blaming officiating. You should be saying it shouldn't be about officiating our third year with this roster. So it's a very uncomfortable spot to be. Now, I don't think Hugh Freeze is going to be fired this year. I don't think that's going to be a discussion we have, but I do think that the sense of urgency was based around this year. And now if they want to get to 8 wins, which I think was kind of that magic number for folks out there on the plane, they got to get frisky and find a way to win some games that they are not going to be favored in.
No doubt. We'll see how that goes there at Auburn. One guy who's already been fired is James Franklin. I guess we kind of buried the lead there. Wild how quickly we got to that over the course of 3 weeks. But were you surprised on Sunday?
I was surprised. I wasn't surprised that it happened. I think, like most people, I was surprised that it happened when it happened. It's October, October 7th or something like that, whatever it was. Coach, we haven't even hit the midway point through the college football season just yet. We just played, I guess, our midway point game, but we hadn't even done our 2.0 playoff predictions just yet on this show. We're already talking about James Franklin being out of a job, a guy who was a play away from punching their ticket to the national title a year ago. There's so much there with why it ended up being sour, but I was surprised that they punted on it as soon as they did. It does, though, feel like it was a matter of when, not so much if, after that UCLA game. It felt I guess after Northwestern was when it felt like the most inevitable, but they were always that couple that, I forget if you and I talked about this or not, Hunt, but they were always that couple that was happy, but you knew they were never going to get married.
Yep.
You knew neither side of that was ever going to get a ring, unfortunately, and that became more evident after the UCLA game, and obviously was accentuated by the Northwestern loss. But at a certain point, it took the right amount of escalation within their relationship. It took the right fight for that relationship for them to say, okay, you know what, this is getting toxic for both sides. Let's call this off.
What does your gut tell you about the next iteration of Penn State football? Do you think it's better than James Franklin or worse?
It's hard to say it's going to be better.
Yeah.
Even the names we're talking about, is there somebody that is just a better coach than James Franklin with a better resume out there that's going to get hired? And I love Matt Rule. Matt Rule was my coach at Baylor for the cup of coffee I was there. I am the biggest believer in Matt Rule, but can we unequivocally say that he's going to go 10-2 every single year with the way the Big Ten seems to be ebbing and flowing? That's the tricky part about it, is something probably had to be done, but you make that $50 million buyout move and break up with him when you break up with him during the midway point of the college football season with the idea that you can go get somebody that's going to get you over the hump, but I don't know who that is. I guess you could say Kurt Signetti. I know our very own Pete Nakos at On3 reported they're going to take a swing at Marcus Freeman, which is smart, but Like, I don't know that the grass is necessarily 110% greener, or at least there's not green grass already grown out there that exists in terms of someone you're going to hire. So I think the biggest thing that sticks out to me in terms of like a need for Penn State, for whoever that next guy is, it's got to be someone who has the personality of, no, we're going to go kick this door down. And I think we undervalue personality in college football, Hunt. Like, I think that is so important to the success of a team is personality leadership. Like, we see it at A&M. Elko is no nonsense, structure, substance, culture. A&M seems to finally be out of the ditch. Vanderbilt. Clark Lee is chip on the shoulder, Vanderbilt through and through, brings in Diego Pavia, which is all that and then some, and we see them having success. So needs to be the right personality at Penn State, which is we're knocking on the door, that's fine, but we're about to kick this thing down and go be a team that can accomplish all that the former head coach did not.
Well, let's kind of continue that conversation and bridge the two weekends here that we're in the middle of. USC, really nice win, really physical win. Now they go on the road to play Notre Dame. Like, Lincoln Riley was kind of a guy that a lot of people had dismissed entering the season. Do you feel like they're turning a corner?
I feel like they are. I feel like the biggest thing is they put the check mark next to the box of show me the arrow is pointing up at USC. Show me It's not just lip service on the line of scrimmage, which I think they did with that win over Michigan. To bridge the gap here of this weekend or last weekend to this weekend, I think that matchup with Notre Dame is very intriguing. I mean, we go back to last year. Maiava was the only quarterback to go for over 300 yards against Notre Dame and had a couple of bad pick sixes, which ended up making that score look more lopsided. But, like, USC was in that game. I think they're better than they were last year. I think Notre Dame arguably isn't as good as they were a year ago, definitely not on defense. So the line's at 8.5 favoring the Irish. I like USC outright there, Hunt. I think that the momentum will create more urgency and confidence than complacency, and I think they win that game. I really do.
Let's talk about Tennessee and Alabama, a pair of 5-1 teams tied undefeated in SEC play. It's in Tuscaloosa, night game, 7.5-point number. Look, Tennessee's throwing around a little bit. You think they can, and they're sacking the quarterback better than anybody. You think they can go to Tuscaloosa and make some noise?
I think they can absolutely make some noise. I think that it's going to be really curious to see what that secondary shows up with for the Vols. Because to me, Hunt, they are the wrong clock of college football. They are bad the majority of the time. They're giving up 277. They miss a lot of the personnel that they've had, ideally during the year. They haven't had some of like Jamal McCoy being dinged up sucks for them, and it's kind of shown itself. But they've taken the football away at a pretty high level. So if they can be the wrong clock that's right twice a day in Tuscaloosa and maybe do some things to that Bama offense we haven't seen other people do, then things get really frisky. And you give Joey Aguilar a couple extra bullets, I think that would be the script that would ultimately favor Tennessee. So it's not about stops to me. It's about extra possessions for that Tennessee offense and, first to 40 wins.
I do like rivalries that I don't care at all about, and this absolutely qualifies. Utah, 5-1, 2-1 in the Big 12, ranked 23rd, going to Provo to play number 15 BYU, who is undefeated, and Utah's favored in this game. They don't like each other. I like that. What do you think?
Doesn't it just scream weird? I mean, you got a game being played in Provo, Utah, with the road team favored, with a quarterback that wears number 47 and is named after an animal. Like, this is it, man. I do think Utah wins this game. I am not 110% sold on BYU, and I think Devin Dampier and that offense catching a loss already will serve them well. So I like Utah in that game, but it's called the Holy War. How do you not get excited for a game like that? I mean, it's gonna be a good time.
It's a lot of playoff implications as well. There in the Big 12. All right, let's talk Ole Miss and Georgia. Rebels really punched Georgia in the mouth last year. Now, they don't have that personnel, but they are undefeated and ranked 5th in the country, and they're a touchdown and a half underdog on ABC between the hedges. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I think Georgia's secondary makes me feel a lot better from an Ole Miss fan. Like seeing Trinidad Chambliss slinging around for 300 yards the last 3 of his last 4 games. I'm like, okay, I can sign up for that with that unit on the other side for Georgia that's been, hot dog water for the most, which is very quiet. I don't know that enough people are saying how bad they are in the secondary. But what you said about last year, Hunt, to me is the biggest part of this. It took 2 first-round draft picks, 3 turnovers, home field advantage, and a rain game to beat Georgia, plus 5 sacks, I believe, from that defensive line. I don't think any of those things will exist here. Definitely not the stable variables of them not playing in Oxford. So I think that Georgia wins. I think they'll just run the ball, quite frankly. I think that the physicality of Georgia will wear on Ole Miss. But if they start slow, them being Georgia offensively, and Ole Miss gets a little bit of cushion to work with, like we saw Auburn work with, I don't think that Ole Miss will let them back in the game. I think that's where it gets really, really interesting.
All right, let's talk about the home team. They're going on the road this weekend, but LSU headed to play Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, 2.5-point favorite against the number 10 Tigers. Diego Pavia going to be a problem for LSU?
I think Diego Pavia is just liable to be a problem against anybody at this point. I mean, he is the epitome of, like, frisky, gritty. I mean, I'm saying things this audience already knows about Diego Pavia, so that's one part of this. But I think that the physicality of LSU on the second and third level of the defense will be the difference in this spot. The Vanderbilt, they kind of run the pseudo triple option, RPO stuff, get the ball on the edge. That gets you beat where your DBs aren't about that life of playing the run and doing the block-on-block disruption thing. I think LSU's down for that, so I think they win this game. I do think it's kind of uncomfortable to watch, though. I think it's kind of a close one-score game, but I'll take LSU 27-20 in Nashville.
LSU lives in uncomfortable, ugly, close games. That's really all they can do is play uncomfortable, close, ugly games. So we'll see early morning kickoff in Nashville. JD, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the football this weekend. We'll talk next week.
Can't wait, man. Appreciate you. Have a great one.
You too. That is JD Pickell, host of The Hard Count on 3 Sports. Check out the On 3 YouTube channel for JD's content every single day, all year long, but especially during football season here. Appreciate him for coming on every single Wednesday. When we come back, SEC football power rankings. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com. Love telling you about my guy, Joey Blanchard, who can get you into the pool of your dreams. Doesn't matter the scope of what you're trying to do from a pool perspective. Maybe you're looking for just a cocktail pool in your retirement years. He can do it. Maybe you're talking about big, fun, elaborate pool because you got kids or grandkids and you want resort style. They can do that. They can do whatever it is that you're looking for, and they can do outdoor kitchens right next to it. So if you want to make your backyard the place to hang out hot months, cold months, spring months, fall months, Joey Blanchard and his crew can help you out with that. I'm giving you Joey's phone number. He's the owner of the company. You're dealing with the owner of the company. 225-252-7745. You call him at 225-252-7745. You work with Joey, the owner of the company, start to finish. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools. You can check out their great work and request that free consultation at builtbyrenaissance.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Officially working towards the weekend here on this Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got about 20 minutes to go here. We'll get to some take it or leave it here at the end of the show. But for right now, our next iteration of SEC football power rankings.
Hunt's SEC power rankings.
Texas A&M! I got the Aggies the number 1 spot. A&M is playing really good offense and really good defense. I think their quarterback is good. I think their coach is good. They have done their work outside of the trip to South Bend at home. They got to go on the road here at times, and one of the trips is to Baton Rouge. But one of the trips is to Arkansas. I think they're going to win this weekend. I think Texas A&M's going to the playoff. I think they're a threat to do whatever it is they want to do. I really do. That breaks my heart in the worst way to say, but they feel like a team that doesn't have any significant glaring weaknesses at this point. I don't think they're a juggernaut, but I don't see a juggernaut, so I've got them at 1.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
I backed Bama up 1 spot. They won the game. They deserve a lot of credit for that, going to Missouri and winning. Ty Simpson, 16 touchdowns, 1 interception. The interception was against Vanderbilt on a 4th down throw. They held Ahmad Hardy to 52 yards and 4.3 yards per carry, which is a good job on defense. I don't think that Bama is really, truly deserves to back up a lot, but I feel like they're not a dominant team, and I like the way Texas A&M has played late in games, so I'll take the Aggies at 1, Bama at 2.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia's 8th in the SEC in total offense and 7th in total defense. That just doesn't feel like a Kirby Smart powerhouse national championship team. They're good. They won at Auburn. They won in Knoxville. That's a lot. They're good. They can do whatever they want to. I think that there are 2 teams better than them. I leave them at 3.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
We'll see. Ole Miss goes to Athens this weekend, but I've got them at 4 here. They move up 1 spot thanks to one team falling back a little bit. I think Ole Miss is a good team. I don't think they're a great team. I think they've got a good chance to make the playoffs. They're a lock for the playoffs if they win against Georgia this weekend. I don't think that they will. I think that Georgia will beat them, but they're good. That's why I've got them at 4.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
Oklahoma's number 2 nationally in scoring defense. But now, I told y'all I wasn't dinging them for the Mateer injury. That's why I had left them in the 3 spot, left them in the 3 spot, left them in the 2 spot at one point. Well, Mateer played, and it was a disaster. And now I have to take that into account. He looked uncomfortable. He looked hurt. He's wiping blood on his pants. They're not moving the football. Texas takes control in the second half. I have to move him back at this point. Just to 5. Not a free fall, but Oklahoma back from 2 to 5.
The Missouri Tigers.
Missouri stays at 6 here. Nice job. I think Purdue's was good. They played pretty well against Alabama. They had a chance to win the game, but didn't do enough. And that's kind of what Missouri is under Eli Drinkwitz. Are they bad? No. Are they elite? No. Are they decent? Yes. Are they pretty good? Yes. Does that put them somewhere around 6, 7, 8? Yep. I got them at 6.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Tennessee is number 1 in the nation in scoring offense at 48.2 points per game. They're number 2 nationally in sacks. Their secondary is not very good, but they can score, they can throw it, and they can rush the passer. That's a formula. I like that. That's what they are. They didn't get it done against Georgia, but they've done a good job elsewhere. Now they got to go to Tuscaloosa this weekend. Prove something to me, Vols. I've got you right now at number 7.
The LSU Tigers.
I moved LSU up 1 spot. Their defense is good. I thought the offense showed some life. I'm not moving them back where they were at 1 point, 3, 2. But 8 feels right. They're on the right half of the top half. They got to get better on offense. But I still think that the defense is good enough to keep them in the top half of the league.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
And Vanderbilt was the one that was cost by LSU moving up a spot. Vanderbilt didn't play last week. And guess what, Vanderbilt? If you're really cranky about this flip here, you got work to do on Saturday. I guess that's the point. Vanderbilt's 7th nationally in scoring offense, and they lead the nation in yards per carry rushing. I'll talk more about that on tomorrow's show. But they've done a good job early in the season. They're 5-1. They deserve credit. They're right there at 9.
The Texas Longhorns.
I did move Texas up 3 spots. They were 13 last week, up to 10 this week. They're 11th in the SEC in scoring offense. That's bad. They're 10th in the SEC in passing offense. That's bad. They're 3rd nationally in scoring defense. That is good. The defense played terrible in Gainesville. They redeemed themselves against a hurt quarterback against Oklahoma this week. We know that they're talented. They haven't played well. I didn't move them up a ton, but they're up to 10.
The Florida Gators.
Florida here at 11. Obviously, they got a lot of heat on them with Billy Napier under the gun. They're not good. They've had 1 good game against the Texas Longhorns. Played well there. Their defensive front is good. Whatever. I got Florida there at 11.
The Auburn Tigers.
I moved Auburn back behind Florida. Probably not the wisest thing to do, but Auburn never wins. So I'm having a hard time giving them a lot of credit for losing. And losing. You lose at Oklahoma. You lose at A&M. You lose on your home field at Georgia. You're competitive. You lose. I got them at 12. They're 91st in the country in scoring offense. That dog will not hunt. They are dead last in the SEC in passing. That dog will not hunt. Hugh Freeze has not gotten that offense to really do anything his entire time there. And it's because he's hitched his wagon, as JD said in the last segment, to 2 really mediocre quarterbacks. Peyton Thorne's not very good. Jackson Arnold's not very good. And so Auburn's not very good. They're at 12.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
I moved Mississippi State up 1 spot here to 13, not because they did anything last week. They didn't play. But there was a team that free fell 4 spots. So Mississippi State moves up to 13th. Levy's doing a good job. They're competitive. They got run off the field in the second half in College Station. That's going to happen to bad teams. State's a bad team. That's why they're ranked 13th.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Arkansas's lost 4 straight games. They're allowing 41 points per game in those 4 straight losses. Their scoring defense is 119th in the nation. Now, they can score. They're top 5 in the country in total offense. It's It's a high-flying wire act like LSU 2 years ago without the Heisman quarterback and the 2 first-round wide receivers. But their defense is so bad. I backed them up. They're at 14.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
I moved South Carolina down to 15 after watching them in person. They were at 11 last week. They are atrocious outside of 2 humans. Lenore Sellers is a really good athlete with no help, and Dylan Stewart is a really good athlete with no help. They don't cover worth a flip. They don't tackle worth a flip. They don't stop people worth a flip. They don't block worth a flip. They don't catch the ball, get open worth a flip. Their running backs aren't worth a flip. They have nothing going besides Lenore Sellers and Dylan Stewart. And those 2 guys can really play, but that's it. I got South Carolina as the second worst team in the SEC after seeing them with my own eyes in Tiger Stadium.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
And they're still last. Texas and Tennessee are at home in Kentucky the next 2 weeks. Mark Stoops is not going to coach against Auburn on November the 1st. It may be quicker than that, but they're going to lose to Texas in Lexington. They're going to lose to Tennessee in Lexington. At some point, Mark Stoops will be fired over the course of that time. They are a bad football team, and that's why they are 16th. That's your SEC football power rankings. Run through them one more time, just for your edification. A&M 1, Bama 2, Georgia 3, Ole Miss at 4, Oklahoma falls to 5, Missouri and Tennessee stay at 6 and 7, LSU moves to 8, Vanderbilt right behind them at 9. We'll see those 2 teams playing this weekend. Texas at 10, Florida at 11. Got the Auburn Tigers falling to 12. Mississippi State moves up to 13. Arkansas moves up to 14. That's because South Carolina backs up 4 spots to 15, and Kentucky comes in at number 16. Those are your SEC football power rankings. We'll see what y'all think of it in your Bayou Ford chat. You can tell me what you think. Certainly we'll have those up on Instagram. Get the comments rolling over there as well. And we'll see what this week holds. It's interesting because Georgia and Ole Miss play this weekend. They're 3 and 4 on this list. LSU and Vandy play this weekend. They're 8 and 9 on this list. And I want to say there was one more of those. Maybe not. No, those 2. So those will be the movers this week as teams that are really close to each other square off. But A&M finds the top spot. I think this may be the first time since I've been doing power rankings that A&M occupied the top spot, and I'm pretty uncomfortable with it. So if Bobby Petrino wants to upset the Aggies this weekend in Fayetteville, I'm all ears for that. We'll come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. The GV80 is awesome. It's their midsize SUV. Get on by and drive it if that sounds like something you'd like to get behind the wheel of. If you're a family and you need that SUV for a little bit more space, the GV80 has got it. It is luxury in every way and comes at a reasonable price. That is the Genesis model. Luxury brand, luxury experience, luxury vehicle, reasonable price. So when I say luxury, don't automatically look up and go, well, can't afford that. Be surprised. Go see. You can check out the inventory at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Go by and see them. Airline at Pickell. Chat with one of their brand ambassadors. They'll treat you like a guest, not a customer. They're there to help you, to learn, and to get behind the wheel of that car. And if you make the purchase, it comes with America's best warranty that, of course, comes with 3 years of complimentary scheduled maintenance. It means when it's time to get that oil changed, time to get those wipers changed out, time to get the air filter changed, complimentary, and valet for 3 years from Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find that entire inventory online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday show is always brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com, built by Renaissance.com. I'm seeing a lot of promotional material for this Chad Powers thing on Hulu. Jordan, have you seen this?
I have. I've been seeing them everywhere.
Do you have any interest in that?
No, because I thought that was Eli Manning.
It was for a little skit on SportsCenter.
Yeah,
now they've turned it into a series or a show, or I just could not have less interest in that.
No, I was. If Eli was in it, I may have tapped in for an episode or two.
I feel bad. This is my pop culture blind spot. Glenn is his first name. Glenn
Powell.
Powell. He was in the Tornado movie. Did something with Sydney Sweeney. I didn't know his last name. I just
lucky guy.
Exactly. I have no interest in this weird football thing. Did you watch the Sean Payton movie with Kevin James?
No, I didn't, because it was like, it was at the point. Well, I will say this: at the time, did not like Sean Payton anymore. So it was like, get out of here, get out. I don't want nothing to do with you.
I didn't watch that either. I don't think it's going to be a go for me. No. So we'll see. No. Let's finish things up with some take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer, 2.6 carbs, 95 calories, everything you're looking for in a light beer. It's smooth, it's drinkable, and it gives you that great beer flavor, brewed by the oldest brewery in America, Yingling. Looking for a cold pop coming up this weekend, and we're officially working towards it here on this Wednesday. Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer.
Okay, let's start it off with everybody's favorite former first-round pick, Anthony Richardson. So Anthony Richardson was placed on IR for fracturing his orbital bone from a band exercise he was doing pregame on Sunday. Is this the craziest pregame injury you've seen? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it.
Just leave it alone.
What have you seen?
My guy Sammy Sosa sneezed and broke a rib.
What? He sneezed and broke his rib.
Sneezed, broke a rib. That's the Cubs, okay? This is what happens.
A sneeze.
I also think that, and I'll have to get to the bottom of this. I'm assuming Brian Kelly will probably answer this question at some point. Maybe Weston Davis will come out and do interviews. I got to find out how Weston Davis pregame at Oxford had a concussion and a broken nose in pregame?
Yeah.
What happened? Like, I can see in a pregame baseball, you get a line drive off the face or something. You got a helmet on. Like, how do you get a concussion in warm-ups?
I was thinking the same thing, but then they said on the broadcast that it was pie burn hit him or something like that. But
how hard?
Yeah, but it's like you have a helmet on, so was his helmet off? But they did say pie burn hit him. So.
Well, I get it if he didn't have a helmet on. That's a very quick wave off. But you never know when something's gonna happen.
Never. So, speaking of the Cubs, so one of the most coveted players on the market entering free agency, Kyle Tucker, Cubs outfielder, said after the Game 5 loss at the NLDS, "I don't know what the future is going to hold. If not, it was an honor playing with all these guys, and I wish everyone the best of luck. Whether it's playing next year or not with them, it's a really fun group to be a part of. Will the Cubs bring Tucker back? Take it or leave it."
I will leave it. The only way the Cubs will bring him back is if his market craters, which is possible because he didn't do anything the whole second half of the season. He had an injury, and it hampered him a little bit. He never really recovered. He had one good weekend in Anaheim, but he was terrible the last second half of the season.
Yes.
And he had his moment. There was a moment there, Game 5, Cubs are down, first and second, nobody out, 3-2 count. It was either the 7th or the 8th inning, and Tucker fouled off a 3-1 pitch and then struck out. And that's the spot where Aaron Judge hit it off the foul pole a couple weeks ago, and Vladdy's hitting everything 10 miles for the Blue Jays.
A legend hit.
You got to come. That's the spot. It's 3-1. You got two guys on. You're in the bullpen, and he didn't come through. The Cubs, as an ownership group, are not spending money on megastars with massive contracts. They just don't do it.
That's crazy.
They have the money to do it.
Yeah.
They just won't. I realize that. I know that. I hate it. I'm watching the Dodgers, who spend money on everybody. And they are the best team, clearly, and they're crushing the Brewers because of it. But the Cubs aren't going to do it. So if Tucker gets the deal he wants, which is going to be north of $350 million, the Cubs are just not going to be in that market. So it was a good try by the Cubs to bring him in. And through the first half of the season, they looked like geniuses because he was hitting a ton of home runs. He was hitting for a huge average, and the Cubs were the best offense in the major leagues. And then he went in the deep freeze for 3 months, and the Cubs didn't really recover that.
Yeah, that's not something you want to hear with a guy. I think if I'm not here, I hope the guys do well. That's never want to hear.
Bye-bye.
That.
Maybe we'll go to the Dodgers, which people are thinking he might, which is amazing.
They got the money. Mike Vrabel reportedly won't receive a tribute from the Tennessee Titans during his return with the Patriots. Is this the right move? Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't have to do it for everybody that comes back. You don't have to do it every time. There are some cases where it's necessary.
Yes.
If I'm going to go back to the team that I talk about as the Cubs, when Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo, who brought a World Series back for the first time in 108 years, come back with another team. because they were traded away. Yes, you absolutely play the video on the Jumbotron and give the standing ovation, the whole deal. When you coach a team for a few years and make the playoffs a couple times and don't go to the conference championship, like, no, you don't need to make that happen. Now, if Vrabel had played for him and he's going to the Hall of Fame, like, that's one thing. But no, there's no need for a tribute video.
Too many tribute videos going on. Between the NBA, NFL, just too much tribute videos. No.
There is a time and a place.
Yes,
Vrabel doesn't qualify. Just because you spent time with an organization doesn't mean you need to get the recognition. You need to accomplish something of significance. Maybe BI can get a tribute video when he comes back.
I'm leaving. I don't care how much I pay for the tickets. I'm just walking out. I'm out of here. See ya.
How'd you like when BI said it was nice that the Raptors fans actually come to games? Did you appreciate that?
I didn't appreciate that at all. But it's cool. When he's out, I ain't gonna wish injuries on nobody. But we all know how Brandon Ingram goes. We know how it goes.
You generally do. And now we've gotten Jordan worked up on the Pels with 20 seconds left in the show. If you missed any of the show today, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your sound, just search Hunt Palmer Show and check us out. Hunt on LSU for your LSU content. Hunt on Saints for your Saints. Appreciate JD Pickell for being part of our show. SEC football power rankings early day, plus some sound from Garrett Nussmeyer. Catch it all on demand. Matt's going to drive you home next. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place, for a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.